Alright, so this video is almost 9 years late, but better late than never. Today I want to cover how to beat FNAF, specifically FNAF 1 to 4. The fifth one is a little bit longer, so I might make that video next week. But let's get started. So in FNAF 1, it's very simple. Night 1 is pretty much a wash, and so is Night 2. Once you get into Night 3, it gets a little bit harder, and if you're struggling, then you can just use this strategy and you'll be doing fine. So basically, stick yourself on the show cam to watch Freddy, and you want to vary between the left and right doors with every map pull. It should look a little something like this, and anytime you see an animatronic, obviously close the door. But other than that, Freddy won't move, and neither will Foxy. You don't even need to be on Foxy's camera. He just likes the cameras being pulled up at all. This method works all the way until Night 6. I wouldn't try it with 2020 mode, but you can give it a shot if you really want to. FNAF 2 is a little bit more difficult in a sense where there's a lot more animatronics to keep track of, but it can be simplified very easily. The only camera you ever need to check is the music box cam. Make sure that baby's wound because otherwise the puppet will get you. And after you pull down the camera, throw on your hood, take it off if there's no animatronics, and then just check lights. If Foxy comes, just quick flash him 5 times and you'll be all good. He'll be out of there and you'll be winning. This strategy works until Night 5 for sure, but Night 6 it gets a little bit more complicated, so you'll really want to focus more being inside the actual room than checking cameras if you can. But don't forget that music box. Now FNAF 3 is where it gets a little bit more technical, but still very easy if you simplify it. The main things you want to do are keep spring traps in room 9 and 10 and make sure the adjacent vent is closed. It can be a little bit hard to find Springtrap on the camera, so I suggest you try to find his camera locations. That's the only thing I really struggled with from nights 1 to 4. Night 5 he gets a little bit more jumpy and he can really start rocking around the room a lot, so you gotta be careful. When your systems go out, there's an order to which you want to repair first, and that order is as follows: ventilation, audio, and camera. Basically, ventilation will just black out your screen and ruin your whole run, so you really don't want that happening. And with no audio, you really can't lure Springtrap to any other rooms. There is a little RNG with this, so there's a chance that Springtrap will just not listen to any of your audio cues, which will ruin your night as well. But other than that, you should be fine with this strategy. Just make sure you keep him in rooms 9 and 10. If he goes off camera and you lose him, put audios in room 8 and 9. That won me the game. That's how I got past it, and that strategy worked well for me. If you want to avoid the phantom animatronics, just pull down the cameras if you ever see them on the screen. Make sure you're fast enough, otherwise they will jump scare you. If it's Foxy that's in your room, you want to check to see if he's there, and then go back to the cameras if he is, just to get rid of him. The puppet is kind of a rough one because you really can't avoid him. And Shadow Freddy as well is also pretty stupid. If you see him in the window, and then you look to your left after he's already done his drop down animation, you're probably going to get spooked. Now FNAF 4. This one is by far the scariest in the series, and the main reason for that is because of the audio cues. This game, you really need to turn up your volume and listen. I suggest leave the door open for 3 seconds about, listen for breathing. If you hear it, shut it right away. If you don't, then use your flashlight. As the nights progress, you want to check on Freddles more and more, but I don't think they'll be too big of a problem. In fact, I never really died to Freddy at all in the game. Just make sure you don't let them sit for too long, because if the lights start to flicker, that means that the Freddles have accumulated in your room. Now that works with nights 1 to 4. You want to try to keep Foxy out as well by listening to the audio cues of him running left to right. And if you can, then your night's pretty easy. Night 5 is where Fredbear is introduced, and this strategy is a little bit different. Basically, you really just want to listen to audio cues. You don't want to run up to doors that you don't know he's at for sure, and you want to make sure you catch him before he catches you. So if you hear his footsteps going really fast, that means he's going to the left. And if you hear footsteps going just a little bit slower, that means he's going to the right. If he laughs, that could mean he's in the room. But there's also a chance for a fake laugh. And you can tell if this was a fake laugh if he's running back and forth still after the laugh. You know he's still outside the room. Other than that, if it was a real laugh and you don't hear footsteps afterwards, then you gotta check either the closet or behind you. And obviously that strategy works up until night 6, but night 7 is very complicated. This strategy also works for night 7, but there's less room for error and you really have to be concise. If you miss one thing, then he will get you. However, Nightmare only does appear after 4 a.m., so that is a plus. I believe that's the same with Fredbear on night 6. And that is the full guide. I know, pretty quick and to the point, and there's probably a lot of stuff that I missed. So if you do have any more questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below and I will answer them because I'm a nice guy. Other than that, if you enjoyed this video, thank you very much. I appreciate you.